In this video, I'm gonna give you a bunch of tips for brewing the best possible hazy IPA. Let's start with these two beers in front of me. They're both hazy IPAs. I'm gonna give them a quick taste just because it's Friday. No, it's actually Thursday. Actually, I'm gonna drink both of them hopefully by the end of this video. That beer is phenomenal. It's out of stock right now because we're out of crush hops. We're waiting for the new lot to come in. So what we did was we created another beer, same everything, change the hops. This is made primarily with Nectaron. So let's see how it tastes. So good, but in a different way. We're calling both of these Midwest IPAs. So they have the haziness of a NEIPA, but they have like more of the bitterness profile and the sharper edge of the West Coast. And we really enjoy both of these beers. You can see that they look a little bit differently despite the fact that I've used the same grain bill for both of these beers. And I'll tell you why, well, I guess right now. The reason that they look different is because I added a whirl floc tablet to this one. I didn't want to do it, I did it against my will. And this would be my first tip for brewing a hazy IPA. Don't add a whirl floc tablet. Don't add Irish moss, don't add any sort of finding agent, don't add gelatin after you're done, don't add a clarity firm, don't add anything like that. You want to just let it ride, and you want to do that, I think, because you're going to end up with a better looking haze. I think this one looks better, and my personal opinion is that this one has better body. Now, I added the whirl floc tablet because J-Dubs, the owner of the local homebrew shop here, told me to add it. I kind of did it against my will. He said, just try it out, I think you'll like it. I verified it, not because I don't trust him, but I looked this up on the internets, and the internet also said, and this was AI, said, you know what, go ahead and add it. There should be no difference at all. It'll just make a cleaner, better beer. And it definitely changed the appearance, and it definitely, in my opinion, changed the body. So I'm not gonna be doing that again. I would recommend that you not do it. Tip number 2, speaking of the grain bill, the grains are essential for making sure you have a really hazy beer. You can achieve some haze with the yeast and the hop oils, but if you want a beer that looks like this, 15 to 30% of your grain bill is going to need to be high protein grain. So we're talking flaked oats. That's gonna provide more texture. But the wheat malt, that's really gonna be where you're gonna get the stable haze and the head retention. And I would recommend chit malt as well. If you want the beer to be not like a yellow beer, you kind of want it to be an orange or even like a reddish beer. You can't take this too far because it'll kind of get dark on you. You can add some character malts that will give you a slightly different color. We're calling both of these Midwest IPAs. They have the haze of a NEIPA, but they have more of like the bitterness of the West Coast. That's because I didn't do any water chemistry adjustments. If I were shooting for more of like a very straight up traditional NEIPA, I would have adjusted the water chemistry profile so I had at least a 2:1 and maybe even a 3:1 chloride to sulfate ratio. So maybe 100 to 200 parts per million chloride to 50 to 75 parts per million sulfate. This would create that signature soft, pillowy mouthfeel while reducing the bitterness. And to be completely honest, I feel like the Midwest profile or the West Coast profile or the fuck it, I'm not doing anything to my water chemistry approach works really well with this beer. For this beer here, I feel like some people might want to add the brewing salts to make this more of a true NEIPA, because it already has a like really soft, delicate Nectaron hop citrus vibe, and man, I feel like it would just make it like really juicy and punchy if you flipped the ratio there. My next tip would be to probably just go ahead and skip the bittering hops altogether. I would add all of the hops at the end of the boil or at flame out, or maybe even until you've cooled it down to the 160, 170 degree whirlpool range. For this style of beer, you're looking to minimize the perceived bitterness and to maximize the actual like hop flavor and the aroma. And the only way you're gonna do that is by avoiding the early hop additions and focusing on the flame out whirlpool and dry hopping. Speaking of dry hopping, there are a couple things you need to take into consideration here. Number one, according to the World Wide Web and people I respect, such as Steve, the apartment brewer, NEIPAs are much more sensitive to oxygen than other beers. From what I understand, it's the higher protein content in the beer that makes this true. If you've ever seen an oxidized NEIPA, you know that they don't look super attractive. They have this like kind of darker, even sometimes like purplish haze. That's something you don't want. So you need to be really careful to not oxidize this beer. So if you're gonna dry hop the beer, you are going to want to do one of two things. Number one, you want to do this during active fermentation. So if you're fermenting in a bucket or something like that, make sure that when you add the hops, you're doing it while the yeast is still very active. Or you're gonna want to use something like one of our kegs, boom, right here, that have a port on the top for a hop dropper, which will allow you to add hops without exposing the beer to oxygen. You'll also be able to do a close transfer at the end of fermentation if you use a keg. I actually fermented this one in a bucket. I dry hopped it during active fermentation. I siphoned it out of the bucket into a keg and it turned out just fine. So you can definitely make stuff like this in a bucket. This is 100% not oxidized. This one was actually fermented in a brew kettle at 100 and some degrees. So I used, and we'll get to this in a second, but I used Kvike for this one. I made this one in like 3 days. So what I wouldn't do is this. I wouldn't ferment a hazy IPA in a bucket and then cold crash it without taking some precautions to eliminate what's called suck back, which is where the airlock sanitizer solution gets sucked back down into the bucket and then the beer just sets for a couple days at cold crash temperature exposed to ambient air. I wouldn't do that. Moving on, I guess chronologically, let's talk about the yeast. You want to make sure you selected the right type of yeast. So this would be something like a London Ale 3. I think that's a really popular one. Let's see, Verdant, I see that used a lot. Omega's Cosmic Punch, if you can still get that, I'm not sure that you can, but that's a really popular one. And then some Kvike strains. I've used the Voss strain for both of these, which is my favorite probably yeast of all time, and they produce great results. All right, those are my tips. This right here is the Crush Hop IPA. It's called the Midwest Hazy on our site. This is amazing. It's out of stock, but it's gonna be back soon. And then this is the Nectaron Golden Orbit, amazing as well. I would recommend brewing either of these. You can also find the recipes for these on our site if you want to go down to your local homebrew shop and buy it yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.